Okay, so let's bring this Judiciary Committee to order. It's 7:35. And actually, Scott, do you have a list of, I know we tossed a couple things around in some other meetings here, so there's 3 things.
Yes, so the first thing I tossed at you guys was just a schedule of our fines. Come on, log in.
Which I sat there and compared and contrasted them on the sheets at work, and I left it quite quick. So I'm in no help. But there are several where Bookville actually is charging more in fines than we are on the same offenses. So I think it'd be a good idea to bring those, it would be a more uniform. If I wasn't stupid and brought them with me, I would have enumerated that. But I can email you guys.
So, do you want to, so if you guys are,
Eric.
let's see, fines.
And how are we comparable in the county on those, do you know?
That I don't.
I'm not sure. I know when it was brought to my attention when Scott brought it to my attention when he was over there at their mayor's court, and he was telling me the difference in their fines and kind of the way they run their mayor's court, which I need to share maybe a suggestion with Tony. So they were giving folks options, even though their fines were higher. What they were doing was offering folks a lower rate if they paid it within a sooner time frame, instead of payments of the whole thing. So Scott would be able to give a better example, but if I recall correctly,
Similar to services, you give a 10% discount, net 30 days sort of thing.
Yeah,
So,
because if I recall correctly, a suspended license was $1,000 or something like that, and it was really high.
Yeah.
My computer is not cooperating, and
you're not wanting to match that, are you?
no, I was just thinking that if we
More the run-of-the-mill violations,
run-of-the-mill violations, but if we did raise them up and maybe or come closer to Bookville, match Bookville, it could help our guys out some standardizing a little bit. And then also, for mayor's court, it could give Tony options or whoever's running mayor's court the option to, or you the option to, maybe settle for less quicker, because we do have a lot of payment plans that just don't get paid. They get paid a little bit, but
And then we're putting warrants out and things like that. Is that creating more of an administrative headache for us as well for some of the pennies that we're actually getting of that?
I mean, it is an administrative headache and it is garnering funds. So, it's also bringing relevance to mayor's court too. So I don't want to just say it's all for naught, because that's not the case. Because
how's the website going with collections and all that stuff?
I haven't followed up. I don't know.
I know we did approve that, right, council? Pretty sure we did, yeah.
So I don't know.
Justin, are you certified to do mayor's court now?
I am.
So if somebody sets up a payment plan, are we allowed to charge, say, penalty and or interest if they don't keep up with it? Do you know that?
I don't know that for sure. I'd have to research that.
Is that something we could look into?
Yeah, that would be probably a Bob question. Make sure
Yeah.
it's legally we can do that. But
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's like taxes where you can charge penalties and interest, that kind of stuff, or
Yeah.
not. So that's a good question. Let's see if I can find out.
The problem is even assessing the penalties.
Yeah, if they can't pay to begin with.
Right, I know, but it might help keep the leverage on.
Yeah, true. One thing that they've been doing, during so they do a roundup from time to time, these folks. We do give them the option to work while they're here, and we give them, I forget, I believe it's $15 an hour credit toward their bill to work, you know, while they're here. And we have tons of work for them to do. We'll go down to Polly and cut trees and let them drag trees back. You know, our goal is to eventually get the entire bank cleared out from the old pool all the way down and around. And then on the upside of the pool, clear up to where we own, is get that all cleared out as well. It just makes it easier for PD to make sure nobody's down there, keep it secure.
Sure.
And then we have a whole bunch of bricks back there that we've collected from different street projects that need to be palletized for different projects that we're going to do someday down the road, other than just them getting buried back there. So,
And I'm absolutely fine with that as far as, you know, if we get some repeat offenders that obviously don't have the means to pay the fines, you know,
Sure.
working that, you know, fine off.
Yeah, because right now, being in town all day, since snow melt before green up, there's a lot of trash laying around.
Yeah. And I know you call it the dust machine, but, you know, with some of the curbs, you know, with that dirt in there, give them a square shovel and a
Oh, yeah.
rake or something and clean that out. And you know, that would help.
I want to paint a lot of curbs this year too.
Yep.
Definitely want to
So-
paint a lot of curbs this year.
So I'm okay with that for some of them. But yeah, and I agree, standardizing some of those offenses across the board between here and Bookville definitely would make it easier on officers patrolling, I'm sure, and when they're you know, doing that. So yeah, I'm okay with that. Is, you know, I don't license suspension $1,000. That's
Yeah,
that's
I
a
might
little
be
that's a little steep, but you know.
It seems like I think you're right about that, $1,000, but yeah, I'm with you. We're not here to bury anybody, but yeah, obviously we've got to create a deterrent as well.
So, and, you know, I think one of the bigger incentives that we've done is putting a hold on licenses, you know, that's encouraged folks, I think, to make sure those fines get paid. So, so yeah, I'm okay with that, actually, standardizing some of those fees within reason. I don't, as long as it's not,
When I get to work tomorrow, I'll put those in an email and send them out to you guys. Make sure we're all on the same page.
If you guys don't mind, just whatever you come up with, as far as which ones you want to standardize, just shoot it back to me and then I'll shoot it over to Bob.
Yep.
And then,
yep, if we can get that done before Wednesday and have it to them, you know, have it ready, that'd be great.
sure.
Sounds good.
And I don't know if there's any other fees. I mean, our mayor's court fee, I think, is pretty solid. I know that we should have, the other fee we need to set by then too, that they should have, is the fee for the stuff that we're getting, the software that we're getting to charge, the credit card fee.
Okay.
I know that the PO just went through for that last week. So I'll double check with them and see how much we're gonna charge. I think it's just double whatever the fee, whatever their fee is, just double. I
We
guess.
said like $5, I thought.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
It was like 2 something.
Which is what we'll use the website for, right? We'll do everything
Yeah.
online. We won't have an actual credit card machine. We'll actually go online.
No, I think we'll have a credit card
Oh,
machine
will
too, that way people can use actually during mayor's court.
I
And
think
then,
they give it to us for free, it sounded like.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
and then Jessica will have it at her desk as well, that she can do it with. She won't have any cash, which is very nice.
Okay, so while we're on the subject of mayor's court, how is it working currently? So we have not had a mayor's court report for several meetings now. So who is in charge of compiling that report for mayor's court then? Is that the responsibility of the mayor? Is that responsibility of our clerk? Who's the one that needs to prepare that so we can bring it to the meeting for council to review and then approve? So we haven't had one for.
Since I've been on, December.
Scott included it in his brief.
Oh, the PowerPoint that we didn't have.
No, his is up there. Taylor's is the one you didn't have. Let me go look at it real quick.
I know typically we don't have a mayor's court report. Yeah.
It was up there in, it had the money collected, it had the,
Okay, so that was, yeah, where he showed So he showed January and then he showed the month of, and then he showed year to date,
Right.
those numbers. Okay, so is that gonna be our mayor's court report then?
Well, I
Because we
mean,
didn't approve that. We didn't.
Yeah, it's
So-
not the way it's been done in the past.
Yeah.
so if you guys want something different, you just gotta tell us what you want.
Well, we need to, because it's financial, we need to approve it. We need to go through it and we need to have it read into the minutes and we need to have it approved, similar to the treasury report and the auditor's report. So is how we need to do it. And so, which would make sense why Tony has now said when Fitch isn't reporting, well, we haven't had a mayor's report for this time or whatever. So we need to make it official. We actually probably need to go over those numbers again in Monday's meeting and actually approve it as a mayor's short report, just so we have it read into the minutes. And then
Honestly, I don't recall ever having done that since I've been on council.
we did when we had the previous clerk.
Yeah.
I don't recall that, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dan was
Yeah.
often the one that, because he was president at that time, he was often the one that would bring the report. She would start doing reports, actual reports that they would hand out. But yeah, we would, and that's how it should be. It should be read into the minutes and then we should approve it.
Oh, definitely.
So,
Should be more than, hey, we had this many people show up.
yeah,
Which page,
exactly,
Yeah.
Also with mayor's court, I'd like to see a year-end report for 2021 that shows expenses versus revenue, so we know exactly where we're at on mayor's court.
And then, to be honest, that really should be the format that we should use. No different than, Michael's report is showing revenues coming in, expenses being paid, outstanding checks, that kind of thing. So really, I would say the mayor's court report in format, Mr. Frank, should be, fines assessed, fines paid, maybe outstanding, balance.
I guess that's really what we need to do is just kind of agree to a format.
Yeah.
Cause I got it here now and he reported that the mayor's court, fines paid was, for. let's see.
I think he did the month and then I think he did year to date. I think he did
Yeah,
February and then I think he did,
February's and then year to date, yeah, so February was, or January, I'm trying to look at it on my phone.
and honestly, I think our software should be able to probably have something.
It can run any kind of report you want known to man, it's just a matter of what do you want more than anything, because, it'll tell you anything.
Yeah.
So, what we can do is I can sit down with Jessica and play with it and try to anticipate what you want. And maybe the next one, because he does his update once a month. In my mind, it only makes sense that he presents it when he does his update, unless you want her to present at a different time. That's not a problem either, having her come in and present, because she could probably give more detailed information than he could. But, we can provide a couple different examples at the next one and,
Yeah, she doesn't necessarily need to be here, actually. She could just print it out, every month. She could just do one and put, like, Michael's not here usually for his reports either. We could just go over it at the same time we do the other financials.
Well, I'm just thinking at the next one, if we give you a couple different examples and then, maybe you like one of those examples, then we stick with that one, or maybe you like pieces of all three of them and we put those three together. But if I ever come to the next one, that way we can figure out exactly, you know what I mean? Because I kind of have an idea what you just explained that you like, but at the same time, until you guys, I don't know exactly what that software can do.
Right.
But I know for $10,000, it can spit you out. We can do bar graphs, we can do pie charts, we can do all sorts of stuff. And
I don't think we necessarily, in my opinion, main things I think I'm gonna wanna look at is, what fines, what fines were put into place and what, what was paid, and then maybe what's outstanding, for as far as I'm concerned. If you wanna see expense,
Yeah, I'd like to see the expenses to know if mayor's court is in the red or the black.
that's
what
gonna
I'm
be
looking for.
kind of,
because she's split between the department and clerk. Is it
Well, I
gonna
mean,
be-
that's gonna be kind of an ambiguous number though, because if you look at the total, I guess what I'm saying though is, so for example, the pool, right? I sent you guys a pool report the other day. So just in that black and white numbers, the pool's in the black or in the red, right? But that didn't include the water, the chemicals, the time that Jeff's down there messing with the chemicals, the time my guys are down there doing repairs. I mean, if we included all that, I mean, it would be major in the red, you know? So, I mean, it's not a fair comparison.
No, but it's,
Um,
I call it, it's a snapshot of where we're at with it.
okay,
Which is basically the pool. We know the pool's never gonna make money, but at least we kind of know where we're at with it.
okay. All right, I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. So we're just looking to see if the expenses cover some of her costs more than anything.
Yeah.
Because that's really all we're looking at is her cost. We're not looking at PD cost or,
No, not
Any of
PD
that other
costs,
stuff.
but, you know,
or even the
her
prosecutor
costs, the
cost.
prosecutor's costs, you know, those kind of things.
Yeah, that's fine. You can come up with that. I wonder if we'll do a nice 6 block. Because if it gives us a nice 6 block, I could think of some really good stuff if I can get a 1-pager. Different things on there. I'll see what we can come up with.
Yeah, we know what we know what the prosecutor's annual expense is right now, so I mean, that would be,
I don't know if I can break it out though between what he does at Uni Day versus what he does here though, because
No,
you know what I mean. There's no way of,
I would say probably just the one.
because the prosecutor only.
Well, I would say monthly, if it's a monthly report, you just average out monthly, you know, 1/12 of the salary, you know.
Because we use Bob for mayor's court and Bob for everything else, but our prosecutor just does Muni Day.
but we used to have 2 mayor's courts a month. Now we just have 1, correct?
Which is probably helps with our costs
All right.
for everyone. Smart.
Okay, we'll kind of come up with something, see what
Yeah.
we can come up with, and then that way we'll have a more formalized report that we can talk about at city council and approve in the minutes, and we'll be good there, I think. Yep. So, okay, our third thing we had.
It was, OBI stuff, wasn't it?
Yes, and that was the attachment that you sent me is what I was gonna look at, but I can go back to my office and print the stuff.
It's been a minute since I sent it to you.
It's the backbone.
Yeah, it's in that. I did check that, penalties and interest on fines you can't do.
Can't do it. Okay.
That.
Well, it's good to know that. So,
There we go.
do we want to talk about, well, he's looking at it, do we want to talk about, seeing if there's, I know we've talked about it in the past, and I know we talked, I think maybe about planning development committee a little bit, but, do we want to discuss, if people want to get involved in trying to make, amendments to the charter and stuff? That would probably have to run through here too.
It almost, I would think it would have to.
Okay, here's what it was. I've seen this article in the Athens Post. It's about Athens City Council. They actually were updating, I'm not sure exactly where they're at, updating the criminal and civil provisions of the city code. One thing they focused on was the DUI law, changing it so the offense can be cited under city code. That way the city would receive some of that fine money.
And those are hefty fines usually, yeah.
Sure. Probably almost as much as a suspended license.
So the city of Athens, the way they're doing it, then it'd be cited through city court, and then it would be through mayor's court there, and then would end up getting a portion of it then.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it said without the update, offenders would be charged with the state code and the city would not receive a significant amount of the fine money.
Yeah, why would the city not be? Wow.
And I'm not, I assume Tony is, but the training I took, I'm DUI certified as well. So.
Okay. Wow, and that's amazing, because Athens has probably had a ton of those cases over the years, and they've not.
They're just now getting around to it.
Wow. Yeah.
So I think that's something we probably really get into.
Piggyback on a little bit,
Yep.
kind of that idea, yeah, why reinvent the wheel?
I have no problem trying to steal other people's ideas if they're good.
And so in the past, when we've had an OVI in town, it's gone to community court then?
Yeah, or municipal, yeah,
I'm not sure how it's gone before.
that's good Athens anyway. So, let's change code to include DUI. That sounds like a bulk job.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely.
I think that could be a bit of I don't know how many DUIs we get in town, but
We got a pretty solid process.
which that could be.
Well,
that's not-
OVI is not alcohol necessarily either.
Exactly, that's what I was
So
going to say, yeah,
and,
we have enough, the other substances driving around town.
that brings a good question. Have we had some of the busts that we've had recently where we've had at least busting a lot of people for possession? Are they being tested for OVI?
I doubt it, I mean, I don't see it.
We
in the
test a
law.
lot of people actually, so our process is, pretty solid. So we don't mess around.
Statement.
We had a machine, prior to Fitch getting here and, which is labor intensive, training intensive, and everything else. We got rid of it. So now every time that, a test is needed, we call in the troopers, and if it's a, breathalyzer, and we just pay them. We pay them, it's like $30-40 a test. And then if it's blood, then we take them down and get blood, and we just pay. So it's cheaper for us to pay to have those guys who are certified, they have the equipment. I mean, they're really good at it, and we don't even mess with it. So
And we find out within moments probably.
So those people then get charged separately from whatever, like they have possession charges, we charge them in town. And then the county or the state, whoever charges them with.
No, we just pay for the test.
Well, yeah, but how do they get charged if they pop for DUI at that point?
If they're in the city, it's us. So we're just paying for the test itself. I'll double check. I'm very confident that, it's ours. So if it's a DUI in town, it's a DUI or OVI or whatever it is. So DUI is a DUI.
Right.
And, but we just call in a trooper and they come in, administer the test, and if it's, they're drunk, and it's our DUI.
No, I've not done mayor's court yet, but have we been prosecuting any DUI or?
I don't know if it goes, and I'm not sure. I know about the test because the POs, I pay for the POs,
yeah.
so, and we do quite a few of them. So, but as far as the, where they go, if they come to mayor's court or not, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I guess we need to find out city code where that's at, see if it's part of it. If it's not, then definitely think we need to.
Let me phone a friend.
Oh.
No.
Whoa, he's like,
Yeah,
that
that
was
was
definitive.
No, he's probably doing something else,
Something more fun.
probably.
So Mr. Clement brought up a good point too, an update to the comprehensive plan.
Would that go through this committee or
I think so,
P&D?
yeah.
Planning and development?
I think it's through judiciary, wouldn't you think?
I don't know.
Not what we think should have. I'd say we roll with it. And planning and development, I can't imagine would be the appropriate place for that.
And it's usually the folks, we involve the folks with the planning commission, don't we, to
The original one was not an outside, group was hired to do the original comprehensive plan. And it cost us $75,000. And that was back in like 2004, 5, 2005.
It was signed in 5.
Yeah, so it's time to be updated. And I believe we can do it in-house, just get it to the right people to do it. Planning commission may be that answer,
we could always form
the steering committee,
a steering committee for that too.
to work with them.
Yeah, I mean, that might be something that we could do and have them for a temporary period of time until we get through that process and maybe get them together and, offer them some pizza or something for their time, to get together and.
Yeah, it would be a big undertaking.
It would be,
for
yeah.
sure.
We might be able to also, maybe we can get a copy of that brought to the next meeting. Maybe we have a whole another meeting, kind of go through it and see if there's things that we've already completed check that
Right.
off, see if there's things that we need to focus on next that we would say, Mr. Frank, hey, we want to focus on these items and have him work on that. And then see if there's anything else in there that we would like that committee, maybe do some of that legwork before they even get
Right,
to
and
that point.
just thinking about it, probably not in the budget this year, but we may be able to budget some money when we get to a certain point to have an outside group look at it. Obviously it's not 75,000.
Right. Yeah, but even at the way that technology is now, and there's a lot of cities that have those types of plans that they've done themselves, and a lot of them have them on their websites, you might be able to even kind of look at what other cities have done
Right.
and be able to,
Good. Scott, if that is updated, would that help with your grants that you,
I haven't come across an opportunity where I've been able to cross-reference it into a grant.
right,
I can tell you that I use it, some of the ideas and the way that we're operating is based off of it. A lot of these ideas aren't my ideas. As far as the vision for the square and trying to, get rid of the lights, that wasn't, getting rid of the lights wasn't that idea, but cleaning up the square, minimalizing. I can tell you that I want to upgrade the street signs on the square to the decorative street signs this year. There's some stuff at the roundabout that suggests, but a lot of the beautification stuff is in there. We're already trying to follow that route. So sadly, just about everything in there hasn't been done.
right,
So there's so much to do that Jason, myself, and Taylor have really taken to it as far as what we do going down that way. I mean, it's very applicable to Jason's department more than really anybody else, and we're adhering to it and trying to go that route. Sadly, we missed the boat on some very, very, very important milestones in there that have put us in the situation that we're in. So knowing what those milestones are now, we have identified those areas. And now we're looking at ways, especially on Becky's side, to address those issues and try to fix them. A lot of it was housing. It addressed specifically what the city should have done when it specifically mentioned in there that Hocking College was going to build dorms and that the students were going to move out of the houses in town and into the dorms. And it was going to create a vacuum in the city and what it should do about that. And the city took no action whatsoever to address that. And well, you know what happened. And so what can we do about that now? So we've come up with some strategies to address that. I was very excited to hear that our rental registration were below 1,000 rentals. When I got
yeah, I
here,
was surprised when she said that.
I was very happy to hear that.
Yeah.
And now a lot of that is the rentals are being turned into Airbnb, so they're not, going to be a rental registration. Well, I'm okay with that because an Airbnb is presented better than your average rental in town. And great, bed tax, big deal. You know what I mean? That's more than a rental registration, and it's a better kept house. So and it's tourists coming to town. And that's what, personally, in my mind, Nelsonville is a tourist town. We just haven't really accepted it. And so yeah, get the tourists in town and let's be what we are. So there's a lot to be learned in that book, and I use it regularly, to say the least. So
I'm not saying make it a priority, but I think it's time to update it.
when you say updated, when I hear updated,
How about utilizing it?
Yeah,
I guess that's what
He's utilizing it, so.
I think that's what more than anything. I think we need to not necessarily. Well, when you say updated, I guess it's just a matter of words and what they mean in my head. But I think we need to use it and add to it.
yeah. Well, back when it was put together, the B&Bs probably weren't even just getting started in this area. And now we have the EV equipment uptown. That wasn't even probably seen back then.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I think, do we have an electronic version of that document?
I'll search. I don't know. I'll look in some of the books, see if there's a disc in any of the books. I got about 3 copies of the book, for certain.
But I think if we at least look at it, I think it would be nice to know what we've actually accomplished in there, and then what maybe our main focus is. Maybe we can pick 2 or 3 things and focus on that over the next year, you know.
Should be part of our strategic plan. If we just utilize that and made a strategic plan.
Yep.
You know, and,
Well, and any type of planning that we can do, formally like that, I mean, which we don't necessarily need to spend $75,000 for, but anything that we formally do like that helps us in our process of applying for grants. So, yeah, I mean, I think that in some of the parks that we're coming up with, and even some of our older parks, you know, I mean, I don't know if any of those or their well-being are addressed in there, you know, so I think that having those green spaces are important, but really ensuring that they're kept and, you know, improved. I mean, I know here at Crabtree, for instance, like Crabtree, we have a historic sign right there. You know, we kind of have a awful gravel pit right there, right where you drive in, right there. And it'd almost be nice to kind of have maybe even like landscaped out a little bit and maybe even, you know, concreted so it's not atrocious looking. You know, it's right next to the railway. You know, we got 35,000 people there last year, you know, coming on the railroad, which, by the way, railroad is expanding. I don't know if anybody knows that. They are expanding. It's only about a mile of track, I believe, but it's actually going to go down to about the end of Hocking, to where the lodge is at. So, which I think is pretty cool.
yeah, very cool.
So it could be another area for people to park and then be transported into town, or, you know, for events and such. So, and I was just at an event, thanks to Alex Bircher, invited me to an event up in Lancaster last night. It was one of their open forum meetings. I'm not sure what they call it, but you know, and I met some contacts there, someone who's running for county commissioner in Hocking County, a gentleman running for county commissioner in Perry County. And I only bring this up because it's kind of strategic planning, but they have now in Perry County have a little stretch of historic, you know, like kind of like our Hocking Valley Scenic Railway. And they would love actually to be able to connect here to Perry County, and that would be pretty cool. And I think honestly, talking about things that weren't in that plan, we've got the Bailey track, we've got, you know, even our Wayne National Forest, you know, the bike path, we've got the trails for, you know, ATVs. And to be honest, that would be something I would like to attach if we could somehow establish that to Perry County. And, you know, if we can get our trails to run and connect, and where there's, you know, we're going to Straitsville, we're going to Murray City, we're going to Buckville, we're going to Carbon Hill, and really ensure that those trails are, you know, are humping. I think that, you know, for us, that benefits us. I think that's a lot of revenue for activities, tourism, recreation, outdoor. And there are grants around that, by the way, recreation and outdoor stuff. So.
Speaking of ATVs, we might be in the wrong place, or this may not be appropriate right now. What's everybody's appetite for opening the town up to ATVs?
I'm personally, I don't mind speaking on it.
We had literally 0 issues.
Yeah, I'm personally, you know, I'm open to it. I'm not opposed to it. I was not opposed to it before. I think the issue is not going to fall on most of our visitors that come here. I think the issue would lie on some of our folks that live in town themselves, that would probably break some of the rules. And I think those are things that we can, you know, address, you know, from our police department, and ensure that we can nip that in the bud, in my opinion.
that was the only people he had problems with was locals. And I mean, a lot of it was just pull them over, have a conversation.
Yep.
There was no to my knowledge, there was no citations.
Yeah, I don't think they were.
Yeah, they
were.
And I don't think they were even huge violations. I think it was more of a concern of safety, of maybe, you know, children that they were with, had on their golf carts or whatever. And so I think it's just more of a creating awareness and.
We didn't have people jumping the fountain on the square, four-wheelers or anything
Right,
like that.
yeah, so.
There was only
Crowd.
one.
Evil.
Yeah.
We had an adult riding a 70. A CC four-wheeler with a kid on the handle, harsh down Canal Street.
Do we have a video of that?
No, he pulled him over, made him take the kid home and said he looked ridiculous. And if he wanted to continue riding that four-wheeler and looking ridiculous, that was his prerogative. He wasn't going to do it with a child on the
Yeah, don't
handlebars.
make the kid look stupid too.
Yeah.
Not to mention the whole safety factors.
Yes. So
So,
that was it. That was the worst case, or worst scenario of the whole year.
would it be something you guys would like to bring to council for discussion?
I know Dan said he wants extra traffic on his back alley and front street.
We can hook him up.
I mean, I'm.
Is that you too, Greg? Extra traffic?
I'm comfortable bringing it forward. I don't have an issue with it. I don't think, I don't think it's gonna be the issue that,
And we can do like we did with the ordinance last year, we can put a drop dead date on it.
mhm.
And if it doesn't work, then just let it die.
Yeah, I mean, I think with all of our ordinances, they probably have, they probably have a lifespan where of their viability, and then there comes a point where you either have to change it, get rid of it, or revoke it. So, I mean, I think that's like all of our, I don't think that, I'm not a person that believes you put that on the books and then it stays forever, I mean, you can remove it if it's absolutely, if it's not needed. And I think as long as people are respectful of, what it is we're trying to do and adhere to the rules, I don't think it's gonna be an issue. Because I think, to be honest, most people they're kind of excited about it.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
So,
for every.
especially with gas prices right now.
Yes.
It's cheaper to run your ATV over to get a
For sure.
gallon of milk than it is your.
For sure. And I've had several people message me this year wanting to know if anything had changed in town or anything like that. So, nope, we're still wide open. People that are excited to come to town and ride their ATVs out the trails and come and spend money. So,
Yeah.
I think that kind of goes hand in hand with the whole tourism aspect, Airbnbs and all that stuff, where they come to town, rent a place, they jump out in the driveway and they head out on their ATV and go out on the trails. I mean, how cool would that be?
And I mean, and the trails, if you adhere to the map or the calendar of the trails, that's like April 1st to
April 15th.
April 15th
To
of November.
December 15th.
December 15th? Was it
Yeah.
that late? I thought it
Yeah,
was-
yeah, you're actually the one that brought that up last year, actually, to
So-
take it out to December.
So if you just do it, within that time frame, then I think you also, you skip the bad months as far as weather wise. So you don't have necessarily the risk there. And then,
I think if Missy had a nice side by side, Greg would be all in.
I think so too.
we could probably get her behind one of those. Get her behind one of those wheels. I bet she'd have
Oh,
a
I
good
bet.
time.
I'll take donations.
You need a bigger trailer, by the way.
Yeah.
Shoot, you don't need a trailer.
No,
It's a side by side.
no. You got to run to town at that point.
Oh, boy. Bob answered the DUI thing.
Okay.
If it's the first time offense and the mayor has taken specialty training, then it goes through mayor's court. So the question is, so if we already have that, does the ordinance that Athens have make it more stringent?
Doesn't make it more stringent, but it makes it a city code to where they receive more of the fine money.
Fair enough.
That's my motivation. If
Well,
we're
yeah.
gonna do the work, we might as well pay for it.
I agree. If we're gonna do the work, I would rather see a large percentage of it stay here versus going,
Absolutely. Also, we've given it-
county, state,
We give it to the county enough, yeah, so. Cool. Can you get the clock and see how we move forward on that?
Yep.
and, confirm that, Mr. Dumpy is trained in the,
If not, I am, so. If they don't do it on softball night, we'll be all right.
restriction. I'm sorry, you gotta know, yeah, we'll wait till next time.
Yep, no, wait till next time. We got a JV softball game, boys.
All right, so what, do you have anything else on your note? Mr. Booth?
No,
Anything
I
else you wanna
think
bring up?
we're good for now.
Trying to think if there's any. Okay, so the only other thing that I can think of that we've, of recent history here would be, Mr. Smith's, resolution to be removed from council. I would just want to make sure that that's been pushed forward and we've completed all the steps necessary there, with the Board of Elections, et cetera, and then so we can move forward to potentially, filling his seat. I think that benefits the city sooner that we can accept, start accepting, letters of, interest. So we can look into that, Mr. Frank, if you can reach out to Bob.
Yep.
Bob or our special counsel
So I
to
talked
make
to
sure.
Tony today and he said that Kent had it and was working on it. We should have everything squared away here shortly.
Good.
I'll follow up with them tomorrow.
Yeah, like that's what I got too.
So if that is, done, completed this week, then I would be okay with, asking it during the next council meeting if we can advertise that seat for, interest, if anybody wants to submit something to the council president for, take that. And then I assume if we have multiple, letters of interest, then we'll probably have to interview them. I'm guessing that's what we did before.
Yeah, along those lines, the interview process has been done quite a few different ways over the years. I think, we need to have a uniform process in how the interviews are done. Sometimes it's done in executive, sometimes it's done with all the people sitting at a table and being asked questions, round table by council. I think it needs to be set on how the interview process is done so that this time and in the future, it's the same every time.
Yeah, you have a written process.
Yeah.
I think I've been in the past, I think I've been part of where we did interviews and executive. The last time I was, applying for an open seat was here when Linda Watkins and I were both interviewed, in front of everybody.
I did it one time where there was 4 of us sitting at a table and we were all asked questions.
And I'm fine with, I think, to be honest, that would be probably, as far as the interview process goes, that's fine. As far as the deliberation of council, on the candidates, if that's executive, I don't, that's fine. I mean, if you want to hold it,
My thoughts, maybe doing one by one and
It might be a question for Mr. Floyd.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't necessarily make a decision in executive.
No, exactly.
But you
Can
can,
you discuss it in executive?
yeah, so with the personnel.
I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe we can get some guidance from Mr. Tory then on,
BOPB.
so maybe he can provide us a recommendation on how we should, hold those interviews.
Benchmark it, see how other councils do it.
I know it'd be familiar probably how, Gloucester probably has done it in the past. I think, so. I know they have experience over there, so. All right, well, we can do that.
Okay.
Very good. Well, I don't have anything else.
No,
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
So then, it's 8:19. We'll adjourn this meeting.